All right, everyone, it is official. I am selling my 2021 Corolla hatchback. I know we kind of just jumped right into that, but let me explain a little bit more. So I have decided, I know a few of you might have seen a conversation that I had with someone in the comments of one of my videos, but I am going to be buying the 2022 GR Corolla. And I couldn't be more excited about it. We're gonna go over in a little bit everything that's changed about it, which is kind of everything. It's honestly pretty insane. But I'm going to be buying that. I'm not going to be buying the circuit model, which is the model that's going to be released in 2023. That's actually only going to be available for 1 year. I'm buying the core model, and I'll explain why a little bit more, but there's really just not a whole lot of differences between the two. It's kind of just like the launch edition of the Supra. Like, there was a few cosmetic things, but not really a whole lot. But we're going to get into that later. So basically, yeah, this is going to be one of the last few videos of this car. It has been great. We started the channel with this car, not too long ago, and I've had it for about a year now. Actually, I think it was just a year a few days ago, but it's time. It's looking like it's time. I really made this car exactly how I wanted it to, but when I saw the release of the GR, it couldn't be passed up. Like, everything that I had always discussed about wanting to do to this car, it was already done, and it was just an insane opportunity. So now let's get into what's different about the GR Corolla and pricing. So to begin, the GR Corolla is going to start at, originally the price they released was $28,000, but that's pretty unrealistic. I'm guessing it's going to be around $32,000, $35,000 for the core model. And then for the circuit model, it's probably going to be a little bit over $40,000, which is pretty pricey for any car. But the thing that you have to remember is this car already, this is not really a Corolla anymore. This is a bit of an economy car, but obviously just with a few mods like this, it can turn into so much more. And the GR Corolla is not even close to a Corolla anymore. It has a similar body style, it was based off of this, but it now is going to have that 3-cylinder turbocharged all-wheel drive drivetrain, and that is just insane. It's going to be making 300 horsepower exactly, and I believe 273 foot-pounds of torque. This is no longer an economy daily driver. This thing is turning into a sports car. So, to get down to the specifics, the biggest thing is going to be the body. Now, it's going to come with a factory wide body. The craziest thing to me, I think, is going to be in the rear. I'm going to try to put as many photos in as I can, but in the rear, just insane arches, and in the front as well, it really just pops out these front fenders a lot, and it looks insane. And as well, they completely redid the front end with a more squared off grille, and you're going to be getting some vents along the side right here and along the front fender, and they are real vents as well. There's also going to be 2 vents, one on each side right here on this front emblem piece, and as well some in the rear. This is going to be a super nice car. I'm very excited to be talking about this because it's just an insane opportunity. But yeah, so that was the first piece about it. And then the next thing that I actually never realized is my car has an aluminum hood. Now, my dad had a Corolla hatchback as well, and his was insanely heavy. It was a steel hood. And my brother actually has a Corolla Apex, and his is the same thing. And I never knew why, because I couldn't find anything about it online. And my guess was they were just sort of testing the waters with an aluminum hood, because it was released recently that the GR Corolla is going to be coming with an aluminum hood. It's going to have some insane weight savings, because this hood weighs almost nothing when you're lifting it up. It's pretty crazy. But there's going to be that. And the general design of the hood is staying the same on the core model. You can kind of see that line that goes right there. But yeah, you can actually see it really good on this side. But that's going to be staying the same on the core. But the circuit model, it has a big bulge in the hood, as well as 2 vents that are also working in there as well. And that is going to be pretty crazy. Next thing is going to be this whole body kit that I added. It's kind of already there, because on the front end of this car, that whole front lip piece right there where it curves up is kind of already integrated into the new front bumper, as well as the side skirts. They're going to extend out the side skirts, and then they have embedded on the bottom right here GR4. because the GR Corolla all-wheel drive. And GR4 is their new version of all-wheel drive, which I'm going to be explaining in a minute, but that is a super cool feature. And then as well, in the rear diffuser, if any of you guys know about Corolla hatchback parts, you'll see the Tom's Racing diffuser. It looks so similar to that. And that's one thing, like I always wanted that diffuser, but it's super expensive. I was never able to spend that much money on just one part. And this car basically already has it. We're gonna focus on right here. It does have some redesigned wheels. I believe it was the 18 spoke wheels, but they look super nice. But the most important thing, I think the most noticeable thing, is gonna be behind the wheels. So it has some 4-piston brake calipers in the front and 2-piston in the rear, as well as 14-inch brake rotors in the front, and I think 11.7 or something like that in the rear, which is just insane wheels for this car. But one thing that I really love that they chose to do is they gave 18-inch wheels. And if you guys know about the 18-inch wheels that come on the Corolla, the tires are so skinny that every bump is just like you hit the biggest pothole in the world. And I believe they're 225 40s. And on the GR, they gave the same 18-inch wheels, different style, but 18-inch wheels. But the tire they're going to put on there is going to be a little bit wider. It's a 235, and the sidewall is a little bit bigger. It is a 45, I believe. And as you guys know, width of a tire also increases the sidewall. So aside from the sidewall already being bigger, it's also wider. So it's going to be a much more comfortable ride. And it's already lowered from the factory. While we're down here, talk about that. It's already lowered from the factory. Hey, I'm filming. Thanks. But yeah, it's going to be lowered from the factory as well, much more sportier ride. And yeah, that is some of the craziest things about this car. On the circuit model, the roof is actually going to be forged carbon fiber, which is pretty insane to me. If you guys have seen from Hoonigan, back when the GR, but not the GR, back when the original Corolla hatchback was first released, they had one of the first few, and they turned it into their very own drift car. And they had done a lot of these things. They'd done a wide body. They'd done a carbon fiber roof. They'd done a lot of these things. And it really seems like Toyota took a lot of those enthusiast parts to put on the car, which is just so great to see. And basically what they did on the Hoonigan car was they just undid the spot welds on the roof and replaced it with a carbon fiber roof. And that's basically what it's going to be on the circuit model. And that's not a big deal to me. That's really not, that's one of the little things that's going to be changed, as well as the hood. And then the other thing that they are going to be changing is this wing. Now, this same exact wing is going to be available on the new GR, but they redid the wing for the circuit model. And basically, it doesn't have like these vents right, these edges right here. It's basically just a big thing that goes across It's a big wing that goes across, as well as, if you guys will see right here, this black plastic piece, it kind of just stops right at the wing. They've made a piece that connects to this that comes down. It really makes it look a lot more finished. It's very big. It's much bigger than this wing is. So I'm excited for that, because even if mine doesn't come with it, that and the hood are parts that are really easy to put on when you get, if you wanted to, you can get it from Toyota. So that's one thing that we're probably going to be doing at some point. So the next, and probably one of the biggest things done to this car, is, like I said, the engine and drivetrain. So the engine they are putting in here is no longer going to be a 2-liter 4-cylinder. It is now a 1.3-liter 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. It actually is the same engine from the Yaris, but they were able to push out some more power from that. And instead of getting 270 horsepower, they are now pushing 300 with 270 foot-pounds of torque. But as well as that brand new engine, again, it's going to be an all-wheel drive. Another thing, that front-wheel drive, like, this car looks so aggressive, but it just didn't have that power or that sportiness to be able to put behind it. And it was a very fun car to drive, but it just was missing that little bit. And they do have a lot of the same, like, style in here. The hood does look the same, except right here and here is where you're going to see those vents peeking through. But it's actually funny that that is probably, looking at it right now, that actually makes a lot more sense. They've reused the same hood. But a lot of things, like the radiator reservoir is going to be in the same spot, the fuse box is in the same spot, little things like that. The air box is where the battery is, and then it comes down right here. And I saw actually the positive battery terminal off to the right here by the fuse box. So I'm not too sure where they relocated the battery to. It might be in the rear now. I didn't really get a close enough look, again, because it was just at the unveiling I was able to see it at, but it is going to be very, very similar. We can move on to the interior and everything they changed. So probably one of the bigger things in the interior is going to be that gauge cluster. So on the XSE, you'll know you have a 7-inch digital display instead of on the SE having a real gauge cluster and then just having a little screen on the side. But on the GR, you get, I believe it was an 11-inch screen that covers the entire gauge cluster area. It's not just one screen off to the side or anything like that. And as well, it kind of reminds me of the WRX in that there's options to like show the boost, the pounds of boost you're getting and things like that, and like the actual temperature, your oil temperature, everything. Super race car oriented, and I really like that. So based on what you change the driving mode to, it changes the actual gauge cluster. And it kind of reminds me of the Mustang a little bit, because when you're in sport mode, it changes that RPM, your tachometer, to horizontal, and it goes across like that, like a little rectangle. Looks super good. That is probably one of my favorite things. The next is going to be the steering wheel. The steering wheel and the new seats that I'll talk about in a minute, I think were both designed a little bit off of the Supra. So right here, you guys can see it's kind of this multi-sided, like little polygon or whatever shape right here. It's not a circle, but there's that, and it matches up like with the actual column right here. But on the new steering wheel, it's a very circular steering wheel. I know this is aftermarket, but just compared to the OEM one, it's a very circular steering wheel, and it has a circular horn button airbag right here. As well, this hole right here is going to be filled, and there's a little GR badge right there. So I really like the steering wheel. All the buttons on the steering wheel are different, so it's looking like you're not going to be able to use, if you guys have a steering wheel like this, you're not going to be able to reuse your steering wheel, but that's not a big deal because the new one is just as good. And the entertainment unit, that is going to be the same size right here. The only difference is they actually got rid of all these buttons except for the power button, and they've upgraded the entertainment interface a little bit, and now we're going to have wireless Apple CarPlay, some things like that. And the circuit model, I believe, is going to have navigation. If you guys don't have an iPhone or an Android to use to make use of that Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, there is navigation on there. And the thing that I'm most excited about is that it is coming in a manual. Now, when I got this car, I really wanted to be kind of a daily driver. Plus, I couldn't even find a 6-speed in this car at the time of me buying. But now, they all come standard with that. I'm so excited for that. And that brings me to the GR4, Toyota's new 4-wheel drive mode. So basically right here, there's going to be a little knob where you can control the percentage of where the power goes to the wheels. So basically, there's a 60-40 option, which is 60% to the front wheels and 40% to the rear. I guess that's going to be the standard. And then there's the 70-30, which is 70 in the rear and 30 in the front. That's kind of going to be your drift mode, I would say. And then there's going to be 50-50, which is kind of just your general, this is kind of like a rally car. So I would say that or the 60-40 would probably be a good in between for like if you were doing like any sort of off-roading, anything like that. But again, the 70-30 is going to be the fun mode. If any of you guys saw the unveiling, they came out doing donuts in the car. I'll bet they were in the 70-30 mode. But that is going to be one of the coolest things as well. And there's going to be 2 more buttons up here. One is for the IMT, which is the intelligent manual transmission that does the rev matching and all that, as well as the drive mode. So you put in standard, sport mode, all that. Back to those seats and the interior, we are going to be saying goodbye to this, I think it's called a Dove interior, this white and gray interior, but they're going to be giving us something so much better. So when I was saying that I thought that they really took some styling points from the Super seats, you guys will see it here, I'll put up a photo in a minute. But basically, there's going to be like kind of on some racing seats, you know, there's pass-throughs on each side for a harness. And basically they gave some like brushed metal pieces that go on each side. They're not actually a pass-through, but they look like a pass-through. But the biggest thing is the seats are going to be much more bolstered, like the racing like style right here really hugs you on the sides, as well as Alcantara. I don't know if it's actually Alcantara. I believe they call it a microfiber material, but either way, that's going to be super nice with leather on the sides. And then this is just going to be black or gray instead of that white right here. And that microfiber material actually continues into the rear as well, the microfiber leather, which I'm super excited about. They just completely redid everything on this car. They're making it a million times better. When I first got this car, I thought, you know, for a daily driver, sort of economy car, they really did everything right. You know, they give you blacked out headlights, blacked out taillights. It just looks super aggressive, but when they released this GR, I thought, wow, everything I've ever wanted to do to this car is already done. They really did this car right. And I'm so excited to be getting one. Again, it is looking like that, you know, after taxes and everything, this new GR is going to be around, my guess is going to be around $40,000 out the door, which is a lot of money for a car, but you have to keep in mind that this is going to be what's competing with the other hot hatches in its category. Now, the Focus is going to be older Focus because they don't make the new ones anymore. It's going to be competing with that. It's going to be competing with the new Hyundai Veloster. I think it will be competing with the Type R a little bit. Now, that does have more power. That's also going to be in like the $50,000 category. That might be closer to the Circuit model. Again, both the Circuit and the Core have the same power, but in terms of price range, that's what it's going to be competing with. But this is really going to be the hot hatch of the future because it just looks, I think, the best out of any hatchback I've ever seen. As well, it's going to be producing some really, really great power, going to make it a super fun car. It's going to be an all-wheel drive now. It's just going to be a super, super great car for anyone who wants a hatchback and wants something fun. I'm going to do one last walk around of this car, probably going to be the last one on the channel, but I hope none of you are too sad about this car. I know I came from doing mods to this video kind of just abruptly, but after the release of the GR, I fell in love with that car. And not to say I don't love this car, I mean, I really do. Had it for about a year, like I said before, and it has just been so great. I really love it, but I think it's time to say goodbye. And oh, one last thing I forgot to mention. While I was back here talking about the diffuser, I forgot to even mention the exhaust. So right now I have a quad exhaust, but now the new exhaust is going to be 3 exits. So it's going to be one on each side as well as one in the middle. It's a bit oval shaped. And as I said while I was in the engine bay, talking about how they were able to push some extra power out compared to what they had on the Yaris, especially because this car weighs more, it's pretty crazy. But the way that I have heard they do that is that 3rd exhaust has a valve, and that valve opens up at, I believe, around 5,000 RPM, and that basically is supposed to reduce the back pressure in your engine, so it only releases in the margins of peak torque, because I think they said peak torque happens between 3,000 and 5,000 RPM, and that should be when that valve opens. As well, peak power is, I think, 6,000. I might be getting those numbers wrong, but I believe that's what it is. But that's going to be super nice. You're going to be able to keep that car a little quieter when you're going slower, and then you're going to be able to open up that valve and really hear your car when you're doing some racing, or should I say driving slow through a neighborhood, to any police officers watching. But yes, I think I was able to talk about every new part on the new GR. I'm super excited. I was able to talk about everything. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comments below. I probably am, because they've done so much to this car. But yes, super excited to be able to talk to you guys about this. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time. All right, everyone, before we end today's video, I just have one more thing that I want to say. Actually, 2 more things I would like to say. The first one is going to be a little update from the rest of the video, because I'm actually editing this a few days after I filmed it, and officially the car is sold. We got rid of it. It was kind of a sad day, but yeah, we sold the car. That is gone now. All that's left to do is wait for the new GR to come out, and then I'll definitely make a video about going there. But in the interim, I'm definitely going to be able to make some more content about cars, because we do have a whole lot of vehicles that we own. So there's definitely going to be some more content, so don't worry about that. But things are really going to amp up in the next coming months when we get the car in. And then the last thing I just wanted to say before I end the video was I would like to apologize for the quality on some of the photos, because it was pretty hard to find good quality photos, just because the car is so new and a lot of the photos were like leaked and stuff. So it was just hard to find those like better quality photos. Those are definitely going to be coming out sooner, and there are already some that are out, but just from what we have right now, I wanted to apologize for that. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Again, as I said that before, but yeah, I'll see you all next time, and I hope you enjoyed.
Jamento.com